Hey, what's up everybody? So last week we were finishing up this country coach again, adding those 2 batteries to make this huge battery bank that we got there. So from here we weren't moving super far. We were only going a little over an hour north, to north of Clearwater there to do the last install that we're doing in Florida before we continue on north to try to get out of this heat because it's getting pretty warm down here. So we ended up staying in a campground here. It was a KOA because it was just one of those things where we're just trying to get things wrapped up. So rather than trying to find a boondocking spot and burning a day getting in there, we just came to this campground here, which was a nice place. It was a little tight for a big RV. They had some low tree branches, but there was a pool there, so the kids liked that. You got the Wymie Lane in the background there, so she didn't mind it at all, even though she's stuck on a cable, but she still got to be outside and chasing lizards. But let's go ahead and get into this week's install. So this week we got a Winnebego View. Done a couple of these. I don't know that I've really made a very good video on them since I think the last one I did, it was before I kind of started really trying to make YouTube somewhat of a priority. So I'm going to show you what we're thinking here. It's kind of a smaller system, but it's a smaller RV. They don't need a system with 6,600 watts like I got and stuff, you know. So, and they're just kind of getting started with what they can at the time. And I'll make it where they can add another battery. I mean, it's a 30 amp RV, so the inverter they're doing would be the inverter they'll want no matter what. But we're just doing a single 300 amp hour battery, and if they really get out there and do some boondocking like they're hoping to, they're probably going to want another one at some point. So when I lay stuff out in here, I'll make sure I make it where they can add that battery, just like I did on Hank's there. Happily for Hank's, I made it where they could add 2 more Lion batteries just fine and easy. So this will come out. This is what they got for an inverter right now. It's pretty small. And I'll just take that out of there and I'll wire the AC in and outs together there. We're going to mount some wood, some plywood here. I don't know that it's big enough, but we'll mount some wood probably to the back wall, I would assume. I don't know, I haven't really planned it out yet, but it's all going to go in here. Inverter, solar controller, battery, room for a second battery. And we're going to probably try to put a vent. The last view I did, I didn't put ventilation in, and they've had heat problems. It's been rare, but even just 1 or 2 times of having heat issues can be annoying. So I'm going to try to vent this one a little better and try to cut some kind of vent in there, and then I don't know what to see from there, just to get even the slightest bit of airflow will fix the problems. We'll go inside here without stepping in the battery hole. We are going to try, well, this is coming out. I mean, this is not going to be used no matter what. They got a 100 watt solar panel up there right now. I'm going to try to put the touch screen, so the touch 50 in its place there. Getting wires there may not be much fun, but somehow they got these wires here, but I've seen them like go up into the ceiling and around places I can't follow. So I'm hoping they just come along down the back of the fridge here and I can somehow access them through here. I can access that storage bay down through the cabinet here. Over here in the battery. Oh, got a phone call here. I'm going to answer. Alright, let's carry on from where I was there. I had to take that phone call. Hank's video came out last night. My phone has been non-stop. I mean, we literally got 100 contact forms for request for quotes last night, to the point like it's probably going to be impossible to respond to them all, which drives me nuts, but I'm going to do the best I can. But a 1 install a week, that'd be like 2 years worth of installs, so doing them all is not even reasonable either. But anyways, I just got the okay from her to get rid of that. This is going to go, I'm going to try to probably use the wire, even though I don't even think it goes very far. I'm pretty sure it only goes down a little bit to where that Zamp solar controller was, so using the wire would probably be pointless, honestly. So I probably won't use the wire. We just talked through that together. So that's going to go. So I'm going to put 4 of the 250s up here. So you can kind of see where I drew the line. There's going to be 2 of them here. And then from here I'm going to have to figure out what I want to do. I don't know, with that being gone, like they would fit this way also. And then 1 there. So I don't know what to see once I get them up here. But either way, there will be 4 250 watt panels up here for 1,000 watts, which isn't too bad for this little thing. It's about all you could fit up here, honestly. That quoted 4 250s, which is what this is. That's a 250 watt rich solar panel. They're approximately 30 by 60. They're like 30.5 by 60.5, I think. So, but basically 30 by 60. So you can see it'll fit there. This is coming off, so I could do two here. One would go there. Actually, it wouldn't. The two won't fit here. They will, but if I put these two here, then there's not enough distance. You can see where I kind of drew the line, and then that one would come over it. Now, if I push it back to where it actually is right now, which is over top of a plumbing vent, because I have Z brackets tall enough to go over that, then there is space. So if it's there, then there actually is enough space. I could do that. Or the other option is I do the two 250s, and I got some 220s that are like 5 inches shorter or something, which would fit there. So, but then I got to do 2 strings down from the roof and 2 solar controllers. So I know it's something I'm gonna run by the customer and see what they think. Because if I push it all the way back there, it's gonna be a little tougher to walk. They're gonna have to walk around the edge there, which they're gonna have to do that anyways. So whatever. These are the things you gotta think about. So I just got this thing tore off, which is another King Jack, which is just for TV channels. Pretty sure. I mean, honestly, I never use these things, so I get them all confused on what does what. But I'm pretty sure this one is only for TV. But I'm sure some of you are always kind of curious what's underneath there. These ones are a little more annoying because it's got the thing in the ceiling to turn it. So I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. I'll probably get rid of this ring because I think that's just kind of stuck in there. The cables I'll push down in there. A lot of times I'll use a lot of these chunks and I'll like jam them down in there to fill the hole in, plus it just kind of acts as insulation. And bigger holes, I'll use some turnabout tape. I'll get real big, I'll use a piece of tin. You know, this is close to wanting a piece of tin over it, but I'll probably just jam some of these around this because I'm going to want to leave this. Otherwise there's a hole all the way through and that piece won't stay in the center, down in the ceiling down there. So unless they want to take that out and cover it with something, I'm just going to kind of leave that like that and seal it up good. And then ultimately it's going to be underneath the solar panel. So we're just putting one in here. But that is the nice thing about these batteries. They got a 300 amp discharge BMS. So you can run a 3000 VA inverter off in a single battery. You'd never do that with a battle barn. I mean, you would if you didn't run anything real heavy. If you could get it on. I've had 3 battle borns wired together in parallel before, so 300 amp hours. I've had the discharge from loading the capacitor on the inverter and then the solar controllers and stuff, whatever's in the system, shut down the BMSs in there. And I have had it happen on just a single Big Beard battery, but it's honestly pretty rare. Most of the time, a single one, it'll handle it, and 2 definitely will, no problem. So whatever, a single game changer would never handle it. It'd shut down. 2 would probably barely support it. So I'm not bashing Battleborn. I love Battleborn. I love Jesse. There's my contact there, but I just like Big Beard. Alright, we finally got this one wrapped up here. It was a late night last night getting it done, and then you can tell by the sun is rising that it's an early morning, but the customer will be here soon. I can go over everything with them, and this one will be completely done. So I'm going to show you guys what I did up here. First, on the roof, I did put the 4 250 watt panels up here, so there's 8,000 watts total. I mounted them how they are because it made it the easiest for walking end to end on the roof, which honestly isn't bad. I was afraid it was going to be a little tough, and it's not bad to be able to walk end to end at all. So I put the entry gland to get the wire down from the roof. It's actually underneath this panel. That's why I made those extensions there. So the first MC4 connection is outside the panel if they ever had to access it. So then I wired 2 in series, and then brought them together in parallel. So this one and that one are together in series, and this one and that one are actually together in series. I kind of debated a little bit on how to do that, and it was kind of 6 in one, half a dozen in another. So that's it for up here on the roof. So I'll take you down now and show you the rest of the equipment. It is a nice sunrise here in Florida. I'm going to miss the sunrise and sunsets here, that's for sure. So we end up using the storage bay here. I mean, it was the only place that really made sense to put all this equipment. So whatever, she could still store a few things in here if she wanted, but there's also room to add more batteries. So this is a single 300 amp hour 12 volt battery made by Big Beard. This is my preferred battery brand. Then we got the shunt and cutoff switch there. Even though there's a power button, I still put in a cutoff switch if there's room for it, even though it's really not a requirement. Then that goes over to the links distributor, which is where all the other connections come to. Not really sure why I keep pointing at everything multiple times here, but anyways, we got the solar controller here, which is a 15085, the solar disconnect up there in the corner, and then the 3000 VA Victron inverter charger. I did put a vent up in the ceiling up there to try to get some heat out of here. And again, there is space here for another battery that could easily be added if she wanted to double her battery capacity. There's electrical connections underneath the passenger seat of this, so that's where the bin would be, where the systems combine, and her jump assist, I put a switch down underneath there if she ever needs to use her jump assist, because I still want that to always be functional, but I don't want to burn out an alternator charging lithium batteries. We got a screen put in here. I moved, there was something there, the inverter control, maybe the previous inverter, something like that I took out there, and I put the screen in its place. All right, everybody, that's it for this one. So from here, we're going to keep moving north, so we'll catch you guys next week with another install. Thanks, everybody. Please like and subscribe.